Good morning. Well, it's morning for me. It is 9:12 in the morning. 9:12, baby. I just received some incredible news that I will detail / explain further on in the video. I'd like to say a big thank you to SurveyMonkey for sponsoring this video. I created a survey over on my Instagram stories and asked you several questions ranging from what you'd like Lounge Face to create and what you'd like me to talk about in this video. So here we are, and I'm going to be discussing all of the responses. Okay, I've zoomed you all in. Now, I haven't worn foundation in a very long time. You know, I just don't really feel the need to. However, my skin is doing something that I don't really fully understand and cannot comprehend. So as you can see, I've got lots of little, I think the lighting is kind of making it less obvious. At least it is from what I can see. But around here, and a little bit here, I mean, I've got 2 pimples there, but that's fine. It doesn't hurt, it's not itchy, it's not dry. It's mildly bumpy. Like, it looks like it's acne forming or something, but I don't think it actually is. I think it's papulopustular rosacea. And I've been applying something for that. It's drastically helped my skin texture. My skin feels like a baby's bottom most days, but I still keep getting these little red bumps. And I have put it down to, not solely, but I know one of the triggers is definitely fragrance. I've stopped using any skincare with artificial fragrance or any kind of fragrance, because I know that when I use that kind of product, my skin generally gets all these little red bumps. Like when I was using a foaming cleanser that smelled amazing. I won't say the brand because I respect the brand and they didn't do anything wrong, it's just my skin. I'd like, you know, use it around my face, and with a foam they kind of spread a little bit further than a gel would, and it must have gotten like on my eyelids, and I was getting all these weird red bumps, like little pimply type things on my eyelids. I've never had that before in my entire life. So I'm thinking this is just, I don't know, because nothing really comes to a head. If anything does, like a tiny white dot, but I don't know. So anyway, I've been using that skincare product, and then I've introduced retinol back in, trying to use it just on the areas that I have these little red dots. And because of the nature of those products and because of my fair skin and then just needing to wear sunscreen, I'm wearing sunscreen. This is a very long-winded way of getting to my point, which is that I'm wearing sunscreen and I hate the way it feels on my skin, but I've got to wear it because it's important. So we'll see how makeup sits on top of that and if I get pilling, because the first skincare product also causes pilling. So that was just a heavy way to start the video. Morphe Filter Effect Soft Focus Foundation in the shade Filter Light 4. I don't know why I chose this, but I did. I can't remember anything about this foundation, but it was just sitting there on its own, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot. So touching back onto SurveyMonkey, I created the survey to gauge what everyone wanted to see in a video and from Lounge Face. So I'm going to follow that same kind of structure with this video, as it's what you guys asked for. That's the whole thing with SurveyMonkey: ask, listen, and give the people what they want with SurveyMonkey. But literally, that is actually what I'm doing, and that's why the sponsorship fits so well with this video, because it gives me guidance about what you want to hear from me about. It gives me guidance on, it just gives me guidance and gives me clarity with like Lounge Face and stuff like that, which is the whole benefit of doing things like that. Even if you're not in my position, if you're, you know, just starting up a small business and you need to figure out from your customers what they want to see more of or what they don't like or do like about your business. I recently completed a wildlife training course, and they used SurveyMonkey just to get feedback on what I thought of the course and what they could do better. Use it if you're an employer and you want to know how your employees are feeling. There's a million different ways you could use SurveyMonkey to improve whatever it is that you're already doing. It's kind of just like working smarter, because you're going to do what you're doing anyway. So you may as well know that what you're doing or the way that you're doing it is the right way. This foundation definitely evened out my complexion a bit, but you probably can't see in the camera. It's like kind of settled into all of my little pores and lines. I don't know if that's because of my sunscreen or it's just the product, but it has done a nice job of just neutralizing the redness a little bit, and the color was a great match. Very good match. I don't know if I've actually used this before, the Mecca Max Life Proof Concealer. I probably have, but I bought a shade that's actually too light. Who knew that was possible? What shade is this? 120. So I haven't been able to use it when I've had a tan, which I haven't had a tan in a while. But anyway, we'll see how this goes. Okay, let's discuss these results. I will share them with you on screen so you can follow along at home. First question, what makeup products are you most excited to try from Lounge Face? The options were, I'm looking at the results on my phone. Oh my gosh, this is, I don't know if I can show you this. Can you see how that's gathering? You'll be able to see now that the exposure's gone down. Holy moly. Ew. I feel like I need to start again. I hate how this looks. I can't deal. I have to take this off. It's so patchy. Well, the show must go on, so let's continue. Which products are you most excited to try from Lounge Face? Number one, the winner was brows, which is so good to hear because that is the next collection that is coming out. I've just finally signed off on the one product that was taking ages to develop. I just couldn't get it right. And then finally I got the sample and I could hear music playing from the heavens. And a lot of it as well, it's so funny. The wands and the brushes and things like that, they are so important when it comes to how well a product performs. Okay, use mascara for example. If your wand wipes off too much of the product, doesn't matter how good the formula is, the customer is going to have an annoying experience because they have to do a million different coats to get the product onto their lashes. But the formula could be incredible, but it's just ruined because of, yeah, that one element of the product. Also, if the wand doesn't wipe off enough product, then you get clumpy lashes and globs everywhere and it's too wet and people have to wait too long for it to dry. Or if there's not enough space between bristles, then you get too much like separation from the lashes and they can't clump up a little bit and get thicker and longer and more voluminous. But if there's too much space between the bristles, then again, your lashes stick together because there's nothing separating them. So much of it, and I'm learning that even more so now, is dependent upon the brush or the applicator that you've paired with the product. Oh my god, I love having nothing on my skin. I love this feeling. I genuinely love this feeling. I know I've got like redness and spots and stuff. I just love seeing my skin, which is kind of really wholesome actually. That's really nice because I didn't used to be that way. I was, you know, when I was younger, I was so insecure. I'd always want to cover it up, even though my skin was like flawless back then. Our younger selves, we could teach them so many lessons. Let's see what this baby can do. Mecca Cosmetica Anti-Redness Primer. Looks like this. I have used this before and I do enjoy it. I feel like with most of these anti-redness products just lighten your skin. I don't know if that's just me that notices that. Love the consistency of this. The Smashbox one, I got sent a Smashbox one recently, like an anti-redness one. It was just green, but it didn't counteract anything. I feel like I'm going to be jumping around from topic to topic today because I've got so much to say, but just bear with me. Go with the Mecca Max Life Proof Second Skin Foundation. I know that I love this one, so I'll be surprised if it does. I mean, I think it probably was just what was underneath my foundation. Next result was liquid foundation or foundation, lipsticks, then highlight and contour. They were literally identical. How does that work? The exact same amount of responses for lipsticks and for highlight / contour. That's crazy. Then eyeshadows, then loose powder foundation. I was a bit disappointed to see loose powder foundation down there. I feel like not enough people realize how good powder foundations are. Sorry, loose powder foundations. Anyway, just quickly talking about liquid foundation. I would love to create a range of foundations and concealers and that kind of thing. It's just a really high barrier to entry. It's not even the cost of the formula or the manufacturing. I mean, no, that is a big part of it too. You've got high MOQs, minimum order quantities for things like that. So you need to produce a certain amount of each shade. And that's fine, but when you've got like dozens and dozens and dozens of shades, that really adds up. And then it's also hiring models to wear all of the foundations in your photography because you need to show it on the skin. That's massive. And then hiring the studio and the photographer days on end because you've got to get through so many models. Like, it's so expensive. Oh, so expensive. But one day for sure. One day for sure. Okay, let's see how this goes. It's doing it again, so I'm actually wondering if it's just because of the whole fair skin thing. That's why I always say that foundation looks so much better when you have a fake tan, because it just so much is disguised. Next question, do you prefer to buy eyeshadows in 6 color palette? Was number 1, that was the winner. 4 color palette was next. 12 plus color palette was third, followed by singles and 2 color palettes. Interesting, I did not expect 6 to win by 9%. I did not expect that. I personally prefer quads. And when I was talking about this whole thing on Instagram, I look white. Why is my face? Is this foundation too white? I think this foundation is too white. 120, this has been a disaster from the beginning. This is the same shade as that concealer that I said was too light. Look at me. Look at me. I'm gonna warm it up with powder afterwards. It'll be fine. Yeah, anyway, when I was asking people on Instagram, 4 was the popular answer. What eyeshadow finish do you wear most often? I feel like this one I kind of knew the answer to. Number 1 was shimmer and matte equally, that's what I thought. Then matte, just plain matte, which makes sense as well. And then shimmer and then cream. Also, like, follow along in the comments. Let me know what your preferences are so that, you know, we can have a chat about it. All right, liquid and then tinted moisturizer, then concealer only. That's been my vibe recently when I do want to go out and want to be like maybe feeling a little bit less confident about my skin. I'll usually just spot treat with concealer because I can still have like bare skin, but majority of the redness is gone. Then it was concealer only, then loose mineral powder, then I don't wear foundation, then pressed powder. I just had a good idea. It's going to bump up the coverage, which is ironic considering I just said that I'm liking like having my skin shine through. But you know what? When in Rome. This is the Tribe Skincare Loose Mineral Powder Foundation, a personal fave of mine. Do you like scented products was the next question. Number 1, depends on the scent and product. Next is no, just flat out no thanks, which is fine. Next one is depends on the scent. That makes sense as well. Next one was yes, and then depends on the product. Do you buy makeup? Number 1 response was that you buy the makeup both online and in-store. Next was online, then in-store, then try in-store, buy online. I thought it would be like 2nd or 3rd, to be honest. Okay, here we go. What would you prefer my next video to be? Number 1, chit chat, get ready with me. And these were all pretty even, which I found very interesting. Number 1 was chit chat, get ready with me, or chatty get ready with me, which was 28%. Then clothing try on haul was 25%. And then makeup tutorial was 23%, almost 24%. And Q&A was 22%. Very similar, that's so interesting. Oh, that's better. I've got some life back into my face, albeit like super high coverage, but it's all right, it's all right. I'm going to use this palette by Hourglass. I don't know how old this is, probably very old, but I just want to use like a nice bright pink on my cheeks today. So, music to my ears, the number 1 response by far was natural everyday look. That was 80%. Next was full glam, which was almost 14%, so a very big difference. Next was something creative, which was 6%, and then dramatic bold colors was 0%. The next one, what matters most to you in a clothing haul? So number one, with a whopping almost 45%, was that the clothing is affordable. Number two, the clothing is high quality. That was almost 28%. Next was the clothing is fashionable or trendy, and that was 16%. And then the clothing is sustainably made was 11%. The last question was, what would you like to hear about in a Try to Get Ready With Me? This one was nice because, again, it's what I prefer myself. So with almost 89% of the votes, all of the above. And all of the above includes house updates, life updates, personal stories, and pop culture discussions. House updates on its own, a video just about house updates, was 5%. Life updates, almost 3%. Personal stories, 2.5. Pop culture discussions, 0.83. So, fascinating. Fascinating. So if you would like to sign up now, learn more about SurveyMonkey, there will be a link in the description. Check it out. It's fun. It's genuinely fun. Like, I was excited to wake up after posting my survey to see what the results were. Because sometimes you're genuinely taken by surprise, and if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have known that key piece of information, which can now inform like other areas of your business, for example, and give you a better chance of success. This is a beautiful blush. You probably can't really see it. I'm trying to kind of like bring it up a little bit. By the way, I washed all of my makeup brushes recently, and they're all crispy and clean, and it's amazing. Washing them and drying them was a nightmare. I hate doing it, that's why I do it so infrequently. But when you do it, oh gosh, it feels nice. I'm gonna do my blush and my highlight, and then I'm gonna do my brows off camera because I can't show you what I'm using. And then I will tell you about the exciting news that I alluded to at the beginning of the video. For highlight, I'm going to use the Hourglass Incandescent Strobe Light powder because it's one of the few highlighters that work with my fair skin. I'm back with eyebrows. I'm gonna put some eyeshadow on my lid. This is the Mecca Mac Single Shadow in Y2K. So many of you have been following along with our house build journey. If you're not currently following along and you would like to, the Instagram account is Loz Curtis Home. I'll have it linked in the description. Basically, it's the place where I post everything related to, yeah, how our house is going and all that good stuff. So we were meant to have our roof completed in, oh, my neck hurts, end of February, beginning of March at the latest. This is another Mecca Mac Single Shadow in Naughty. And what went wrong? What was the cause of the delay? Oh, that's right. So it was timber. Good old timber. And this, if you're building or you work in any industry that is somehow related to the timber industry, or you use timber in anything to do with what you do for work, yeah, you know what I'm saying. If you have to use timber in any capacity for whatever you do for work, you've probably felt the pain that I am feeling, I have been feeling, which is that there's just a massive shortage of timber at the moment. I talk about it on my stories, and then people from like Norway and these random countries are like, yep, it's affecting us too. Like, it just seems to be a worldwide issue at the moment. Because of our bushfire, our BAL rating, B-A-L, I talk about that on my Instagram stories. It's in a highlight under Q&A. You can read all about what that actually means, but our bushfire rating is quite high, so we can only build with certain timbers that can withstand a high heat, basically. So that means we had to use spotted gum, which is a type of wood, on the external parts of our house. So like the bush poles that support our roof, they all had to be spotted gum. We had beams going along all of our roof line that were spotted gum, but we could not actually source those, or the builder couldn't source them anywhere. So we had to go with Merbau. I actually love Merbau. It's a beautiful warm wood. And I would have loved to have Merbau for our poles, but apparently they don't make them in that kind of form. So that spotted gum is sourced from Queensland, I think. And obviously you remember back to that part of the year, these last few years have been an absolute mess. Like, what is going on with this? What is going on with the world in general in like every possible way? But anyway, there's massive flash floods in Queensland and that part of Australia. So people were just kind of, you know, preoccupied with trying to stay alive. And I think probably a lot of that timber would have been damaged anyway. But also, that just wasn't the focus in their lives at that time. The people that were working in those mills and stuff, I'm sure they weren't concerned with getting our order out on time because they were just trying to keep their families alive. So as a result, that was incredibly delayed. And then some more time passed, and I don't know at what point this was. Like, I've lost track of time. The months have bled into one another. For all I know, I could be living in 2040 right now and I wouldn't even know the difference. But they said that the bush poles that we were going to have around our house, they were meant to be like that wide, basically, like just like posts, like those pine posts that you see, like that wide, but spotted gum. And they just don't exist anywhere. Like, you can't source them from anywhere. The builder forwarded us an email from the timber company saying like they can't get enough of those poles. They can't get the amount that we need all in the same size, but they can get the right amount of poles in a bigger size. But this size, I kid you not, so it goes from like that to like this. I'm not even exaggerating, they're beasts. And Reese and I were thinking, no, like that's gonna look ridiculous. And they said you can either like accept those or wait an indefinite amount of time until something else becomes available. But just know that the chances of that happening are quite slim. So it's kind of like you have a choice. Like, you can wait, but like practically you don't really have a choice. And these were, we found out afterwards, oh, that's a nice color match. This is the Mecca lip pencil. Oh, that's a nice match in Fancy. So we accepted that, and then they arrived on site and they looked massive, obviously. Anyway, long story short with that, they were installed and they actually look awesome. So love that for us in the end. Gotta have faith, everything happens the way it's meant to, everything happens for a reason, get those spiritual vibes out there. We spoke to the supervisor and he was saying that any other builds that need spotted gum, we were the last people, the last client to get spotted gum. All the clients that need to have spotted gum basically have to pick from like either that they have to wait an indefinite amount of time or they just have to have steel posts. Like, the reason a lot of people build with this company is because the houses are very like farmhouse, rustic looking, really Australian, just beautiful houses. So to have a steel post instead of a big rugged bush pole sucks. So anyway, we're the last people to get one. So lucky, so lucky. At this point, before all this happened, we were like, oh, amazing. Our house is going to be completed before, our roof is going to be completed before winter. You know, just before winter. Because obviously, there's going to be a lot of delays if you're building in the middle of winter. So, as time crept on and delays kept happening, we were faced with the realization that, it looks like we will be building our roof in winter. So the timber frame finally started to go on, and then that was sitting for a while afterwards, and then the gutters were installed, and that was super exciting. I can't remember how much time was in between both of these occurrences, but it felt like a long time, because I remember when the gutters finally went on, we were like, oh my god, finally, like, yes, it's starting, it's happening. And then the tin, I don't actually know how long it's been. It probably hasn't even been that long, but it has, like, if you did this in summer, if you put the tin on in summer, it would have taken like half a week probably. it can take a day for some houses. It's been at least a month for us, I think, because it's been so wet. And you know what also is depressing about having the tin go on so late is that if we had it on before winter, we could be catching all of this delicious water in our water tank. But we're going to have the roof basically finished by the end of winter. So we're not catching any of this water, so we have to pay for water again, even though we've been flooded with it. Not flooded with it, but we've been very generously endowed with water. So the roof was just going on so slowly. It was a mixture of like the weather, obviously, very, very wet, very windy, because even if it's not even raining, but it's just windy, they can't install it. And then also sometimes we did have quite a few clear days and the guys just weren't showing up. We've been visiting the block thinking like, surely stuff would have happened by now, surely, nothing. And it's just been a bit of that, you know, like getting our hopes up thinking, oh my God, it was a sunny day today, I bet they've done something. And then going to the block and like nothing's changed. Meanwhile, like we're in a rental where the owner wants to sell and we've been here a year longer than we intended, which is not great. Using Loungeface Lash. I know, I'm so sorry, trust me, I want this to be restocked like 10 months ago. That itself has been a nightmare. Like, jeez. A lot of delays in my life at the moment, a lot of delays. Touch wood, I don't want to keep putting that vibe out there, but start of September, I've been told, it's just been delayed again, but start of September I'm being told. If you would like to be notified when we restock, I will put that in the description box. I just exfoliated my lips and now the lipstick's not sticking very well. I didn't even mention what this was. This is the Morphe Cream Lipstick in Flirt. Anyway, I think I've gone into way too much detail with this story. So yes, it's like we had external pressures at play here. Like we need to get out of this rental. Anyway, so the other day we went and they had finished most of the actual sheets. There's a couple little gaps here and there. And they hadn't done the roof, what's it called, ridge capping? Is that what it's called? Yeah, but to our delight, the plasterers had started on the inside on part of the house that did have a roof on it because they could, because obviously you can't put plaster and render on the walls if there's no roof because it gets wet and doesn't set. So they were basically doing what they could, which is nice. And even while we're waiting for our roof, because that was so delayed, the renderers started on the outside of the house, which is usually unheard of. They basically just, any clear days, they were out there putting it on. They've been getting the trades that can work to work, despite the weird order that it's all occurring in. But anyway, just got a text from our supervisor saying, hi Lauren, the roof guys have finally finished the roof. My plasterer will be back mid next week to continue plastering, and I have a site labourer who is coming Monday to do a big cleanup, and he is going to walk around the block to pick up anything that has blown around in all of the wind and put it in the skip. That's another thing, our block is a pigsty. There's crap everywhere, which is depressing because our beautiful bushland is being tainted by everyone's rubbish. Reese and I are just super anal about that kind of thing, especially Reese. Like, all the mess everywhere has been killing him. He's a Virgo, if you believe in that kind of thing. So that is some bloody good news, I tell you what. So that's where we're at with the house. Reese did have to drop off our beautiful ABI Interiors handles and the like to a cabinet maker. So that's exciting, knowing that that's kind of probably underway. What else is going on in my life? Oh yeah, Loungeface, as I just said. I haven't said this publicly, but I'm actually working with a very cool, very skilled, very forward-thinking, very talented agency to rebrand. I'm making such a mess. To rebrand Loungeface. It's getting a full facelift. Everything is, which is very exciting. The website is going to be amazing. It just needed to, yeah, it just needed it. I have fond, you know, feelings and whatever for the current design, but it just needed to be modernized and made a bit more professional looking, I think. A bit more mature. So I've still got old packaging, like the brand new products, the batch themselves are brand new, but I'm still using the old packaging for a little while because I'm not going to start selling new packaging until the whole thing is ready. So if you do see old packaging, don't think it's like old stock or whatever, because none of it is, it's like all brand new. But it just wouldn't make sense for me to bring out Loungeface's new packaging without having everything reflect that packaging, like the website. Basically, when I release the brow collection, that's when everything will be revamped. But oh my gosh, I was just laying in bed last night trying to get to sleep. I have like a million things on my mind. I've been working on so many different things these past few weeks with Loungeface, and then last night I had so much stuff on my mind, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm so grateful. Like, I try to think of things I'm grateful for before I go to bed each night, and I was thinking to myself, I'm so grateful to be so passionate about something and to love doing something, to love every part of something. Like, I love that I'm challenged, I love that I get to be creative, I love that I'm passionate about it, I love that I'm motivated to do it, to get up every morning and to do it. I love that I don't think about it as, oh, I have to do this. Like, even when I was on holiday recently, I was thinking I was excited to come back home and work on my brand. Like, that's crazy. And I know what it's like to not feel that way. So to feel that way feels incredibly special. I feel like I need to do a second one of these videos to go into further detail about the building, the whole building thing. I could just sit here for hours and around. Actually, speaking of which, I really want to get into lives more. I said this on my Instagram stories. I really want to just have a platform where I can just sit down and just do nothing and just chill and just read questions and answer them. Like, I see people do that online and I think, wow, I would really enjoy that, because I love answering questions, I love talking, and I love the format that it's just a lot more natural and organic and it doesn't have to be edited down. It's not just me talking to myself. So I could either do it on YouTube Live or I could do it on Instagram Live. But I feel like Instagram Live, I don't know if it's good for that. I don't know, maybe I should try YouTube Live. Otherwise there's Twitch, but I don't have any followers there, so I feel like it would be an uphill battle trying to even get a few people to watch. I love watching Twitch people just sit there and just do nothing in particular, but just chat. But then I think like they've built their whole, that's their whole thing, so of course they're gonna have people. Like, it's not fun if you don't have a lot of people watching, because otherwise you're only talking to a really small group of people, so you can't have like a proper conversation. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to SurveyMonkey for sponsoring today's video. You can sign up now using the link in the description box. And I also want to know what you think I should do regarding those lives. And also, I want to know, like, if you're building, what your experience has been. I just want to talk to you. Let's just chat. Thanks so much again, guys. Love you all, and I'll speak to you all next time. Bye.